What's up, Mirandikas? We're back with another Persona video. Now, today we're talking about Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth, and Persona Q2, New Cinema Labyrinth. Sorry, this picture is a bit blurry. I could have gotten a better one. But here's the thing. Now, the reason I'm talking about these games is because these two games are what I love to call games in limbo. So I hit the table. Now, what I mean by that is, so every other Persona spin-off game, or most of them, are in modern consoles. So we have Arena Ultimax, which has the Arena DLC. We have 4 Dancing, 3 Dancing, 5 Dancing, and obviously the P5 games are on modern consoles. We even have the PC port for Persona 1, the mobile game or something like that. I think it's the mobile game, or maybe just a PC port of P1. And then we also have Aigis First Mission. Now, obviously, that's in the Switch and only on PC. And both of those are in Japanese. As far as I know, the Persona 1 port does have English translated by fans. Aigis First Mission is being worked on. Now, here's the thing. These two games are the only games where they're limbo because they're not on modern consoles. And we don't know if Atlus is going to bring on modern consoles. By that, I mean, this is my thumbnail. I was searching Google, it came up. So I was like, yeah. By that, I mean, here's the thing. Eventually, we'll get Persona 1 and 2. Eventually. Like, I think we'll get their ports and then remakes, but eventually we'll get their remakes, even if we don't get their ports. Though I do want their ports because they're a different experience and stuff. But here's the thing. We'll eventually get Persona 1 and 2. That's not an issue. The issue is these two games. Is because these two are stuck on the Nintendo 3DS. This game is, like, really criminal. By the way, we're going to talk about this. And then this game is also stuck on the 3DS. Both of them are now expensive nowadays, like for how old they are, I should say. But let's just, talk about these games. Alright, so what Persona Q and Q2 are? They're basically collab games between, this is between Persona 3 and 4. This is between Persona 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, as always, no Persona 1 and 2. But that's what I'm here to talk about. These two games are, I would say, okay, so I was recently sick, so I did try Q. We'll talk about them why I couldn't end it. It's a fun game, and I haven't tried Q2, but again, I've heard good things about these. Now, there's one mechanic in this. This isn't the exact mechanic. I just found a GameFAQs spot where it shows the map. The thing is, the way these games work is it has a map mechanic. So basically, if you play Persona, like the mainline Persona games with the dungeons and stuff, you move around and you like find some stuff, and there's like a mapping system, like you open maps. In this, it's a manual mapping thing. I mean, you can set it to auto, but the manual mapping thing is simple like this. You pick your stylus, and you like the above screen is you're like moving around the dungeon, and below screen you can use the map. As far as I know, I believe it's like that. And you can you're moving around the dungeon and you can map. You can make these blocks and you can add other things like this is a door and stuff like that. You can make a map. Obviously, you can make a worse map and get lost. But the thing is, you have to make your own map. Now, here's the thing. This game has an auto map feature. So let's just say you don't want to make a map. This game has a auto map feature. Now, here's the thing. Persona games, I feel like, do incorporate their mechanics in modern games if they're old games. Though I don't think there's a game which has a really complex or intricate, or how should I say, a console exclusive mechanic in other games. Like you can use the D-pad to Fur Morgana and P5, but that's not that big of a deal. But this is a big deal. Now they can go the easy route and just remove the mechanic and be like, hey, it's auto now, which I feel like is not that fun because I'm not that good of an artist, so these stuff really don't work for me. But at the same time, I feel like a mechanic that exists should be in the game. So I feel like what they can do is with the Xbox One, it could be the basic, like you can use the mouse pad as the right analog stick and just move around, pick and drop. I think with the Xbox, it could be something basic. I think with the Switch 2 and with the PS5, they can do good stuff. Like they can use the D-pad for the PS5. For the Switch 2, let me pause. Alright, so I made this video about Persona Q and Q2. It was short, and I was like, they can use the touchpad for the Switch 2 And Savage Gamer number one, shout out to him. He said, I feel like we can see them on the Switch 2 with the mouse controls. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's like a mouse control thing on the Switch 2 where you can just, okay, I'm acting like I'm breaking it, but you can remove one of the controllers or joysticks. What's it called? I forgot. Joy-Cons. And you can use them as a mouse. Like the Lenovo Legion Go, I think, also does that. So I actually like this idea way more than my touch. I mean, you can do the touch thing as well, but I feel like that could work if it's like a Switch 2 thing. So I think that's something they can do on modern consoles. The other reason I want Persona Q is this. Now, there are a lot of articles you can find, but basically there's an issue with the Persona Q cartridges. The earlier versions that go released for Persona Q, the cartridges are actually defective. For those of you that don't know, they're defective as in if you bought them on release, they're not defective. But like later on, this is like, I know a lot of 3DS games people are saying that they do get like this, but no, Persona Q has another issue where by time, if you own them right now, like your released PQ, it's defective. Either it won't work or it will get stuck in the middle of the game. This is a problem I have with both my Persona Q cartridges. That's the reason I couldn't complete it when I was sick. I was like, I also started this. I couldn't complete Persona Q because of these issues. I thought of doing Persona Q2, but eventually I didn't. Persona Q2 does not have these issues, but Persona Q does. Where the issue is that your cartridge eventually will become faulty, and honestly, all the cartridges that were released earlier are now faulty. That means it's not just faulty because you use them. It's also faulty from the get-go, like if you have them. That means, let's just say you right now have the money and you're thinking, let me order Persona Q from Amazon. You buy a sealed copy. There's a high chance it might be the release copy, the earlier version's copy, and the copy would be defective. It's also possible you save money to buy an edition for Persona Q, and 99%, 100% chance it's defective already because those editions are like earlier versions, right? So this is something that's an issue with Persona Q, the earlier versions. I've seen people like these codes, like there's like a serial codes for these. Some of them are like these serial codes and some other are defective, and then some of these work. Here's the thing. For me, I don't think it really matters much because as far as I've done my research, a lot of serial codes that I've seen work are also not working for some other people. So it's just another problem. I'm gonna, this is something for another video I can detail talk about this. But there's a YouTuber, I need to go find that, whose Persona Q cartridge got defective while his playthrough, and he sent it to Atlus. Now there was a whole thing he needed to destroy and everything. It's a fun little video, but the thing is, Atlus actually opened up their customer support for people who have defective Persona Qs, and they were like, hey, we're gonna give you the code for the game to play digitally on 3DS, which is a good thing. Now the problem with that nowadays is that the 3DS store is shut down, has been shut down since then. And I believe even 5 to 6 years later, Atlus was willing to give you codes for Persona Q. But here's the thing. If they give you now, the problem is that the codes, you can't use them on a 3DS because the 3DS eShop has been shut down. So this is one of the reasons why I think Persona Q needs one of those, needs a port. Because this is I want to say the worst Persona release ever. Not because the game sucks, but because of this issue. Next thing is, here's the thing. Kotone is also in limbo, but I feel like they'll eventually do something. And I picked this picture because I love Kotone, but I'm not going to say Persona Q is something that needs Kotone. It has Kotone, so it should be released on other platforms. But I think, it does. They won't do this, but Persona Q2 does not have an English dub. The reason I think they won't do this because it will be kind of off, because it's Persona Q releases with an English dub for modern platforms, but then Q2 gets a new dub, and as far as we know, Persona Reload has new voice actors. So that will be odd, and Persona 4 Revival is allegedly, I say it like that, but allegedly has new voice actors. So I think Persona Q2 does deserve. Persona Q2 has no issues. The only issue Persona Q2 has is the same issue, is that a lot of these games are now expensive. So it's just one of those things where Persona Q2 is, it's good to have this on modern platform. But the main issue is Persona Q. And the issue with the Persona Q games is that Atlus actually... Okay, this is something Atlus did in the past I want to talk about. Is they would release their physical versions very limited. That's something they used to do. They didn't do that with Persona 5 and Royal, obviously, but then they used to do that a lot with their releases, even back in the day. So this is also another issue where, yes, there are second and third manufacturing copies for Persona Q. There are. But the problem is they're very low in quantity. So you can get this cartridge if you buy this new. It's possible you get the defective one. There's no way to check unless you see the back of the barcode. And if it's one of the working barcodes, and pray that's also from new manufacturing product. Or you can get it used and talk to the person for hours and be like, hey, play the game for an hour and two and let me see, like, does it not get stuck in the middle? So that's the thing with Persona Q. Persona Q2 is here because I think it deserves. But these two are in limbo. You can make the argument FMC is also in limbo. But I think here's the thing. People will act like these companies are honest and be like, if Atlus said it, that won't happen. I think, here's the thing. Right now, there are no plans for Kotone. But that doesn't mean they're not going to touch it ever again. That's the thing. Persona 1 and 2, right now it's possible they don't have plans. Maybe they have the ports. But a remake is not plans. But eventually, they'll touch it. Persona Q and Q2, we don't know what they want to do with them. And these are the only two games. Now, obviously, you can make the argument the OGP4, Persona 3 FES. A lot of these games are not on modern platforms. And if they'll do ports for Persona 1 and 2, I think they'll do the PSP versions into ports. So you can just make the argument, hey, what are the PS1 versions? Yeah, you can make those arguments. But, like, it's like the experience is still there. Persona 3 FES, you have Reload. Persona 4, you have Golden and now Revival. Persona 5 and Royal both exist. And then you have Arena Ultimax with a DLC of Arena. Like, the experience is there. You can experience the story. You can experience the content. But for these, you can't. So that's why I think, like, when I say these two games deserve a port or needs to be ported, is because there's, like, we don't know if Atlus is gonna touch them. That's the thing. Maybe the 30th anniversary, we get these three, like, my theory for the 30th anniversary is they're gonna make a game, like, they're gonna touch every Persona series for mainline series. That means they're gonna touch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll get Persona 6. So it's possible that for Persona 1 and 2 we get the ports. For Persona 3, 4, 5, obviously for 4 we're getting Revival, but for Persona 3, 4, 5 we're getting Q and Q2. This check marks all the Persona 3, 4, 5 games, and then we'll get Persona 6. Possible, but we don't know. Tell me in the comments below, around the gears, like, comment, subscribe. Do you want Persona Q? Do you think I'm stupid, crazy? Probably, I am. But like, comment, subscribe, comment on the bell. See you guys next time with another Persona, Shin Megami, Dragon Ball Fairy Tail, what a video, Dragon Ball, yeah, I said Dragon Ball, what a video. Consider subscribing, trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I'm looking to stop recording. Bye, 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 bye.